Many people spend years and years waiting for the right time to come, but yet it doesn't come. So you're constantly on the move to get it done, to start new things, to be a new person, but yet you wait. Let's chat about that right now. Check it out. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Positivity Experience. It's your girl, Lori, and I am so excited that you are here. We are basically at the end of January, which is crazy time, and it's a perfect time to start going back into, hey, different time, always waiting, never comes. Let's go into it, and we're going to talk a little bit about the psychology behind it. And you know what? I think we're all a little guilty of going, okay, I want to wait. And then you realize after a while, what the hell are you waiting for? Because the perfect scenario, number one, perfection is fake. It will never be real. Okay. But you're waiting for a scenario in many ways. It puts us in a place of avoidance because you're always in a space of waiting. So I have a really good worksheet over on Patreon. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/the positivity experience. There you'll be able to get the worksheet each week. I don't go crazy over there. I just do one a week like I do here, and it just complements whatever it is that we're talking about. So if that's your jam, go check it out. And you know, it's really interesting because this is kind of how it's been with my second book. It's been this love, hate, avoidance, need to change. Which direction do I want to take it in? It's just been one of those kind of mind games that I've played with myself, by the way. Nobody else is playing this game. It's a game of one. And I finally just got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I am going to write this based on how I feel. And I'm really doing it for me with the, idea or intention of it helping somebody else along the way. And when I did that, I've been able to really go, you know what? Stop looking for some perfect layout. Stop looking for the perfect time because it really doesn't exist. And I know it seems cliche and it's like everybody says, stop waiting. Well, because that's how it is. You hear me say this to you all the time. You're not going to hear anything gigantically different on any podcast or any public speaker or any book that you read. There's going to be maybe a different approach. There's going to be something new. There's going to be a different angle. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to radical acceptance. It's going to come down to, hey, embracing the unknown. It's going to come down to pretty much those two things, mainly being the acceptance. Of course, we're not going to talk about that today, but it does come into play. But, you're waiting, and your waiting is self-sabotage. It's sabotaging your growth. Think about that. You're like, you know what? I'm going to wait to feel ready. First of all, what the hell does that look like? So let's unbox that for a minute. Think about something right now, anything off the top of your head. You're like, man, I'd like to do blank. It doesn't even have to be over the top, like writing a book or starting a new business. It could be something small. It could be organizing or painting a room or anything. And that might be like, well, that's just because I just don't feel like it. Sure, but why? Like, is it because you don't have small goals? Is it because you don't have micro goals? That one's easier to tackle. But now, let's say you do want to start your own business. Let's say you do want to write the book. Let's say you do want to do the things. You do want to move to Europe because that's where you've always wanted to be. And there's 3 job opportunities. But if you go, is that going to be the right job opportunity? Am I taking the right one? I don't know. When am I going to know? I'll know when I feel ready. No, you're going to talk yourself right out of it. How many times right now can you be honest with yourself and say, yep, I was ready to do it. And then I talked myself out of it because I was like, well, what if this doesn't work? And I'm going to do this. Well, if I just had some assurance, because essentially this is kind of what you want in order to know, quote unquote, that you're ready. Okay. This is what it is that you're seeking. Hi, I'm from blank and blank company. I know you're interested in coming out here. We would love to have you. This is a great opportunity. Oh, and when you live here, you're going to be able to find a pretty decent rent. You're going to be okay. You're not going to be too far from, the commute. And you know what? You're really going to be really happy every day. Essentially, that's what you're seeking. You are not willing in that moment to go off of anything other than give me reassurance. And no one can give you reassurance. People can't give you reassurance in a relationship. Oh, I'm never going to leave. Oh my God, don't do that. Do not do that. Because you don't know if you're going to leave. That might not be your intention, but stop. Okay, so a lot of the reasons that you're waiting for this perfect time because it's a myth. It's a myth of being ready, and it will keep you stuck. Now, that being said, going back to the core understanding your core values, go back to that, especially if you're on Patreon, go back to that worksheet. And I want you to look at some of those things, or even just go back and listen to this podcast and look at some of those things and say, okay, what are my intentions? Am I running into something thinking it's going to make me happy? Am I doing something with some, that's like going to the gym or eating healthier to lose weight. You never do that, right? That's just a byproduct. So you got to know if your why aligns deeply with your core. If that happens, then it's going to be easier for you to be like, well, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to throw caution to the wind here because it's time. Because it's just not going to be, plentiful for you right there. So it's going to sabotage your own growth because you're always going to be looking for this level of, I need to be prepared, so I'm not quite ready yet. But why people are waiting for the perfect time and the mindset, and it's rooted in limited beliefs, and there's practical steps to overcome them. And we are going to talk about every single one of those. So let's go into this. Why waiting for the perfect time? There's a fear of failure. We have talked about this multiple times. In psychology, it shows that there's a fear of the unknown, and then that can paralyze your decision making. Okay, so think about this. You've got something, say maybe you have 2 options, right? 2, 3 options. Now you have 2 jobs. You have 2 job opportunities, and they both have benefits. They both have they're not all going to be perfect. They have this, they have that, they have this, they have that. And by the way, they both need an answer by Friday. So now you sit there and you go, oh my God, analysis paralysis. That's where I am right now. You're like, it's overloaded. You feel overwhelmed. Oh my God, what if I choose this and it's wrong? What if I choose this and it's wrong? Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Any decision that you make in life today is 100,000% going to work out. Correct. Now, doesn't mean that you're always going to get the outcome. So it might work out to give you a lesson. It might work out to give you a redirection, or it works out how you want it or even better. But if you're worried about where that's going to fit in, you're going to keep running from it and you're going to sit in analysis paralysis. You've got to say, I'm going to make a choice. This sounds so small on a small scale based on what I'm telling you. So my daughter is at college and her room, was pink and she had all these things on the wall. And I'm like, okay, she's out for the semester. I'm going to paint the room. All right. I want to do a neutral tone. Now, when I was doing my bedroom, I had all these different samples on my wall, all different ones. I got them in darker shades, lighter shades, all these things. And I put them on the wall. And I was like, okay, they all look good. Great. Okay. So now let me take away some of these. I'm going to stand back, okay, this one, no, this one, no. Okay. It's down to 4. And then I was like, oh, you know what? Let me go back and just get a few more. So I got a few more, looked on the wall. I'm not lying to you. This stayed out there for a while. And I finally was like, okay, I'm going to pick this color, the color I got. So in my daughter's room, I said, I am not doing that shit again. I am not doing it because if I wait, I'm going to linger. I'm going to talk myself out of it. Is this the right color? So I picked the color, immediately went and got it colored or got it filled. When I came home, I started putting it on the wall and I was like, this is actually a little lighter. And luckily at my local Ace hardware store, they do paints and they know me. So they're like, well, just bring it back up and I'll tint it a little bit darker for you. You'll need to pay for another one. So it didn't matter that I had to get in the car and I took it up there and I had it tinted just a little bit more, brought it home and I love it. So when I first picked it, I thought I was going to like it and I was like, yeah, it's okay. So I took it back and I did what I had to do. But you know what? I'm halfway through her room. And that hasn't only been but 4 days because I made a decision. If it doesn't work, then screw it. I'll figure it out. Now, I understand that that's paint versus taking a job. However, what are your alternatives? Are you going to keep waiting? You're going to keep waiting. You're going to keep waiting. Because let me tell you what's going to happen. You will miss out on opportunities. You will miss out on opportunities in relationships. You will miss out on opportunities in personal life, professional life. You will miss out on opportunities because you're stuck there and you're trying to make sure it's the right time. Let's go even deeper. You're in a relationship. You've been in this relationship for a long while, right? Maybe you're married, maybe you're not. Doesn't matter. You've been in this relationship. And you know that it has you are on empty. You are tired. You don't want to be there anymore. And you're like, oh my God. It's going to be difficult and I got to figure it out and I can't just get out right away. Holy shit, everything seems overwhelming. All right, maybe I will wait until after Christmas. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to wait till after Christmas. Okay, Christmas comes, Christmas goes. Now it's, oh, but it's cold outside. You know what? I'm going to wait till spring. Now we're in spring. Now it's like, oh, yeah, but there's always a yeah, but. You're a yeah, butter. Yeah, but. There's never a right time because you're waiting to feel ready. And that goes into power and control, or control, not so much power. And so I got to tell you, like I said, it goes into that unknown paralysis and decision making. Of course, it's the traditional fear of judgment, right? And that's rooted in social psychology. So when you are afraid of judgment, that's basically social psychology. And that highlights how fear of others' opinions will keep us playing small. Okay, think about that. Fear of others' opinions will keep us small. So when you are so worried about what someone thinks of you, or is that the right decision? Or let's go personal to home then. You are getting ready to go take a job, or you're going to go to school for something, blah, 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 whatever. And your parent, your mom, your dad, your sister, whomever says to you, okay, that's okay. I mean, I think you're making a mistake, but sure, if that's what you want to do. First of all, the fact that they can say that lets me know, or let yourself know, that you haven't set boundaries, because that person feels entitled to think that they can change their mind and need to feel passive aggressive. So that has been set to no fault of your own, because what you allow will continue, right? So if you've been in a trauma space, and I think we might be talking about trauma bonds next week. I know we're talking about it in February, so I'm not exactly sure, so don't quote me. But it is one of those things where you get so worried about somebody's judgment that, heaven forbid, you do want to go to Europe. You do want to try the things. You do want to decide you're going to go start a band while still working, while still having something in Los Angeles. And you're going to go out there to follow your dreams of being in a band while still working. And everybody doesn't want you to do it because they think you being a band is stupid. And you need to get over it and get a real job, but you are working. So you might not go because you're keeping yourself small. Okay, fine. So just know that that's what's happening, because now you have a fear of failure, you have a fear of judgment, and you have a fear of success. That is correct. People can have a fear of success. Absolutely. Because now, once you have this success, that means change. Change is destabilizing. Remember this and think of this quote. Our brains are wired to seek safety, even if it means staying stuck. Let's hear yourself say that again. Print it out, pause this, get a notepad and write this out. Our brains are wired to seek safety, even if it means staying stuck. This goes back to chaos. There are people, oh, believe me, my God, I was like this for so long. I created chaos, not even like personal chaos between people. It was anything that was chaotic, anything that was unstable. And like I said, I got into this really deep chapter about it, but it's that, right? I didn't want it, but I craved the chaos because I knew how to respond in the chaos, but I didn't really know how to respond in the peace and relaxation because that seemed weird. It almost seemed boring and foreign. So now that means if you're going to be successful, you're going to have to let go of an older version of you. You're going to have to say, okay, this is where the perfectionism comes into play in your brain. Well, all right, I've got success, whatever that means to you. I can't lose it. Holy shit, now I have all of this important things, like what am I going to do? Because now you have this success, again, whatever that looks like. And you've now attached your identity, which is even worse, to something. So now if it goes away, you're going to like lose your mind. You're going to be like, holy shit, this is gone. Yeah, because you put all your eggs in one basket and you put your identity in that. So again, I want to go back to that. Why waiting for the perfect time? Why are you doing that? Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of success. Just how it is. Now, I just mentioned to you perfectionism. I've said this to you. 10,000 other people have said this to you. Perfectionism is fake. Your perfectionism is rooted into trauma, into insecurity. There is no such thing as perfection. Zero. Now, we can say things like, okay, what is my perfect day? Well, my perfect day is a mid-October day, leaves are changing, smells of bonfire in the air, sweater weather. Like, that is my perfect day. Okay? That's my perfect day. Your perfect day might be 97 degrees on a beach, in a bikini, or in swim trunks, getting sun. That could be your perfect day. So pay attention to that. Perfection would be one way of doing something. If perfection was every time you walk into a room, you tap the wall 3 times, yes, that could also go into OCD, but that's perfection. And now we all are going to strive to one thing. There is no one thing. We all have our own level of comfort. What we would consider perfect, this perfect weather is totally different than you being perfect in something. Okay, again, that goes a little bit into people pleasing, definitely imposter syndrome. There's a lot that goes into that. Also remember this, perfectionism is also a massive avoidance strategy. Perfectionism is avoidance. Well, I can't do that, right? Boom, boom, I can avoid it. So you're going to procrastinate at it. Well, if I can't do it right. Now listen, I heard that growing up, and I know a lot of you have. If you can't do it right, don't do it at all. Well, first of all, what the hell is right? If you can't do this right, well, first of all, that's your version of right, or I should say their version of right, not yours. And now that's in your head that says, hey, don't start that shit if you're not going to be good at it. Don't half-ass it. And you're like, but I'm whole-assing it. But to you, I'm half-assing it. But I'm really whole-assing it. And that's not enough. So a lot of times that's given to you. So now grow up, as you're growing up, it's the same thing. Well, if you can't do this, listen to me. The fact that you started is a success. Okay? The fact that you started and you baby step it, again, this was a test of my OCD control, whatever you want to call it. It is a miracle that I'm able to just do small increments in my daughter's room. To the average person, I'd be like, well, yeah, you don't have to do it all at one time. In my brain and it wasn't imperfectionism. It wasn't like start to finish. No, it was like this anxiety that was like, I just want to get the shit done. Mine was more like, you don't have to get it done. It was like, let's get the shit done. But I said, you know what? I got to really pull on my own work, the stuff I give my clients. I know a lot of you listening are my clients, and some of you listening can be my clients, right? But I have to pull on the same thing that I give, right? It's always easier to give and then take of your own. But I've been really good at that lately. And so I said, you know what? Like yesterday, I watched the football games. In her room, she has TV. So I was watching the football games. I was painting. I was steam cleaning one side of the room. One side. The other side, nope, looks just like it was before she left. And that was great for me. That was a big, big success for me. So you have to have compassion. You have to remember, what is your version of starting now? Okay, what is your version of starting now? Now, I've done this a million times. Let's say when I did my room. And it wasn't like I had anxious energy, like, oh my God, it wasn't that. But I was like, I just want to get it done. So, and I did, but it was never, like I said, out of perfection. But think of it like this. If you procrastinate it doesn't make it go away, right? But I would literally go, okay, let me get my head into the game. I got all this work to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to check the boxes. I'm going to have this done. And then I have unrealistic timing. I'm like, all right, it's 9:00. All right, I should be able to have this done by like 6. Yep, by 6:00 I'll be done. No, I won't. 6:00 would come and go. I didn't beat myself up about it. But when you try to do it all at one time, you get unrealistic expectations. Now, I don't get myself caught up into like, oh my God, you're a failure. Some people do. Some people go, what the hell's wrong with you? So take your small wins and don't avoid it. Do not avoid it. I have to micro goal things. Go back to episode 50. I'm wrong. I could be lying to you. But there's one on micro goals and SMART goals. Go listen to those. There's back to back. And that's where you can say, I did this, and that's a success. Maybe you clean out your Tupperware drawer or, your little plastic containers, not the whole ass kitchen, just that drawer or that little cupboard. Do that. Success. See, your brain loves rewards. Your brain goes, haha, love that. That's why, even though you are very, we're into technology, and I do have a planner on my computer, but also in on paper, your brain, psychologically proven, scientifically proven, responds from pen to pad. That's why we do the 5 journals. And to check something off, your brain goes, yeah, baby. Right? And that's why you want them small goals, because then you can hit those small goals and your brain can benefit from it. You're like, yeah, look at me, successful. Right? And you also have to remember, when, research links that perfectionism to procrastination, because people avoid starting tasks that they can't execute perfectly. All right. Don't start this until you have all this done, all of this prep work done. Now, there is something, not the perfection part of this, but there is something to be said on the actual journey, right? So it isn't just the outcome. You do have to do the small, mundane things that you don't want to do because they're a pain in the ass. You don't feel like doing it because it takes effort. So there's some minor truth, or however you want to say it, to starting a task that you can't execute. Now, starting a task, period. This part's the bullshit part, that you can't execute correctly or perfectly. Take that out of it. So that's why a SMART goal gives you these steps. And even though you hate these little baby steps, let's say it's researching something. Say you're going to buy a house and you're like, oh, that's a pretty house. Well, that doesn't mean shit. What's your budget? Well, this is what I can pay. It's not what I mean. What do you qualify for? So now you got to get all your papers together. You have to go talk to the qualifying person, and they run your stuff and they say, okay, this is what you qualify for. Let's say $300,000. But this house you were just looking at was $650,000. You're like, I love that house. I'm going to get this house. No, you're not, because you didn't do that step. That's just one of the many steps. Okay. Then, hey, let's do an appraisal of not just of the house. Let's look at it and say, okay, how much did each house sell for in the last 6 months? Okay, so now you're looking, okay, will it hold property value? What's this? Maybe you have small kids. What's the school system like? Don't just fall in love with getting a house. So you got to be willing to do all of those little things. And you're not going to do them perfectly because it's not real. And that's why it's starting, right? A lot of times people go, shit, okay, oh God. Like, okay, it's tax time. And I own my own, I see clients all over the world. I work for myself, which means I claim everything. And I claim everything, which means luckily I have a accountant, because I'm not going to screw it up, because I would. And I have to do my own things. I have to make sure all my tax documents are together and I have to take care of it. It is so easy to be like, I don't feel like dealing with this shit. But guess what happens? Then that time comes up. Then March is almost here. Then I put myself behind the 8 ball. Do the shit now so you don't have to worry about it later. So take these small steps now, once you know your why and your intentions, and then execute them accordingly. I mean, that's just how it's going to be. Now, there's cognitive distortions. We talked about cognitive dissonance, and I think I might have even talked about cognitive distortions. And that's that all or nothing thinking, black or white thinking. If I can't do it perfectly, I'm not going to do it at all. Well, like I was saying, when I did my room, all right, well, I got to do it all. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do it all, and it wasn't so much out of I have to. Again, that's more goes into my mental space than it does of trying to be perfect or anything. But it's either like you're always doing everything or you're doing nothing. But there's gray areas. There's well over 50 shades of gray. And it's allowing yourself to push through the fact that you have to have something done, or that if you don't finish it, you're going to procrastinate it and push it off, which is a very normal part of life. And that's where you have to say, okay, well, what's my next step? You're going to have self-discipline. It doesn't mean that that's just going to come off rip. No one thinks that you're just going to start with self-discipline, but you got to start somewhere. So start with one thing. So that all or nothing thinking, I got to do it all or nothing, that is also an avoidance. That's also your inner brat. Oh yeah? I don't feel like doing all that. So we're not going to do it. Okay, well, you don't have to do it all. Why don't you just do this one thing? Oh, necessarily want to do that either, but fine, whatever. It was funny. I was listening to, it might have been Howard Stern. Yeah, I think it was somebody years ago. And they said, if you leave a room and you can do whatever it is in under 2 minutes, do it then. What I mean by that is, let's say right now I'm sitting in my little podcast desk. And let's say I have like my drinks or whatever I have over here and I'm getting ready to get up. Why am I leaving the dishes there? Put the thing away. It takes under 2 minutes. So maybe incorporate that into your life. If you're getting up off the couch, is there any trash? Do you need to put a cup away? Do you need to do that? That's not all or nothing. That's small increments. Because then you're going to start catastrophizing it, which is its whole other problem. If you fail, everything will fall apart. It's all or nothing. It's the worst case scenario. If I can't do this, then I'm a failure. And then suddenly failure is bad to you in some bizarro reason. Failure is not bad. It's lessons. It's pivoting. It's learning. How can that be bad? We learn from things. It's okay. So you have that catastrophe of saying, if I don't do this, then everything's going to fall apart. You see this a lot in businesses or even people with families. Well, hell, if I do this, nothing's going to work well in this house. Nobody's going to do anything. Okay, so let me rephrase that or let me give you a different perspective. You walk out of your house right now, okay? You're going to do your whatever thing you're going to do because you handle everything in the house. And a bus runs you over, splat, you ain't here anymore. They will figure it out. They will figure it out. Might not be the way you want it to be, might not be as fast as you want it to be, but let's not think that we're the sole reason why things go on around us. And a lot of that we put on ourselves anyway. We take it on. Maybe we're in control. We don't like how something is done. And we feel like, well, if we don't do it, it's not going to get done. The bills are going to be late or these things are going to happen. Okay. Again, splat. You just got ran over by a bus. Done. People got to do what it is that they got to do. And they will do it. So that's where you have to say, are you willing to not have things done your way or as fast as you want them to do or to be? So then you can start saying, okay, let me let go of some of my control. Then it keeps you from being like, oh my God, everything's going to fall apart. This is going to happen. Maybe, but you know what? Again, splat. So that's what you have to remember. Now, there's a role of comfort zones, right? And you've heard me talk about this. Comfort zones are fake. Well, they're there, but they're fake in the idea of growth. They exist. Things don't grow there. That's fake. I'm comfortable. Things will just be as I want them to. Fake. No. Well, but I'm comfortable doing this. Oh, I'm growing. Fake. No. You remember, that's the space of no change. You're used to something, right? And the interesting thing is you do the weird things or the hard things and eventually they become comfortable, right? That's where you nurture it, but that's not where they grow. That's fake, to think that they grow there. But think about, I always use driving. Think about when you first start driving. Petrified, don't know how, you're afraid to death. Okay. And then after a while, you get a little bit more comfortable doing it. Okay. Some of you don't like driving. Some of you have driving anxiety. Well, you already know how I feel about that. I always, at least with my clients especially, we're going to do exposure therapy and we're going to get you through it. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be scary, but you can do it if you choose to do it. Okay. It's a little bit different. But when you are, it's in behavioral psychology, the comfort zone feels safe, but that creates stagnation because nothing grows there. So think about things that maybe you first did that you're comfortable doing now. That you first did. It was like uncomfortable. It was weird. It was awkward. And then, got a little bit better at it. Crochet is one for me. I was a little bit like, oh God, this is hard. How am I going to learn this? Stitch is stupid. And I don't know how to count. Doing all of that. Now I'm comfortable. Pickleball. It's like, what the hell am I doing with this? I'm not fabulous at it. I don't suck at it. I'm not going on the championship circuit, but I'm comfortable with it now. Right? How did I get there? Because I tried something new. So stop staying in a comfort zone because you're thinking that you're safe. I'm telling you, that's creating stuck. I'm stuck. Well, you won't get out of your comfort zone. And remember this little quote. Staying comfortable is the same as staying stuck. Okay? So when you say things like, I'm comfortable, I just want to be comfortable, then what you're saying is, I want to feel stuck. I'm going to feel stuck. Maybe not want to, but I'm going to. Why is the perfect time a myth? So number one, time is linear. It exists in no other time but now. Time's not tomorrow. Time's not yesterday. It is right here. And there is an illusion of control. Perfect time is an illusion of control. So humans seek control, but the perfect moment assumes that we can predict and control all variables. This is unrealistic. This is where you storyline in your head. You're like, okay, here's my plan. Cool. Love that you have a plan. Issue comes when you're assigning this plan to things that are out of your control. Maybe it's a job, maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a check, maybe it's okay. You're like, this is my plan. Well, shit, that did not work so well. This person is not doing the role that I gave them. Now I'm falling apart over here because I assumed that all of these things were going to go as planned. And now you are assuming that you can predict and control every one of those variables, every single one. It's so unrealistic. This happens in many ways, not just the right time. Relationship, other things, jobs. Okay, if I do this and this and this and this, I'll get this. Okay, in theory, not bad. No problem. If you're talking about yourself, I'm going to journal, I'm going to do this. Great. You can control you. You cannot control other variables. So then you go, this sucks. I'm never going to do this again. Well, you kind of put that expectation on it. And, these are the things, like how often have things gone exactly as planned in your life? Rarely at best. I mean, exactly as planned. Same time, everybody did what you wanted them to do. The people did this. You got this on time. Rarely does that happen. So if you're on the off chance had one or two times that happening, good. But life happens in perfection. Imperfection, not imperfection. Life happens in imperfection. Your neuroplasticity, you've heard me talk about neuroplasticity of your brain, like how you can rewire your brain and the neural pathways of the brain. So this is through psychology now, and neuroplasticity research shows that growth happens during challenges, not perfection, and definitely not comfort zone. How's your brain not stigmatized? What's the word? Activated. How's your brain activated in growth? You're just like, okay. So many of those things just become routine. You're like, oh, I just do this, automatic habit. That is not where your neuroplasticity is going to do any type of rewiring at all. It's not. And so it shows that when you're in growth, that happens when you are challenged. When you challenge, that's where your brain goes, hey, what's going on here? Ooh, that's uncomfortable. I don't like this, but so now it's challenged. So of course it's going to be that. Action creates clarity, not the other way around. There's not clarity and then actions. Actions create clarity. Maybe it's the clarity that you're seeking. Maybe it's something totally different, but that's what happens. And time keeps moving. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care if you're not ready. I don't care if you don't care that you're ready. Time keeps moving. Life keeps lifing with or without you in it. Well, you're in it. You're just on the outside watching it. When I say in it, I mean participating in it. You're just cruising along. Okay, you see everybody else doing things. Don't compare yourself, but there you are. Wish I was doing that. Well, then do it. If it's in your capability, then do it. If you can't, then accept that. But time keeps on moving. And this is where sunk cost fallacy will come into play. And that is, the longer you wait, the more invested you become at waiting. That's a whole ass thing. The more you invest in waiting, the more that you wait is the more that you're invested in waiting. All right. Because again, you're like, all right. And in many ways, again, we're back to avoidance. That's like waiting for a train that's already left the station. All right. I'm going to sit here and wait. Maybe there's supposed to be another train coming. Damn, that train got canceled. That train's not coming anymore. Well, so you keep waiting for a train that's already left the station. Now listen, there are consequences rooted in psychology. Good God, psychology. I don't know what psychology is, but it's that too. But there's consequences of waiting. And that's that analysis paralysis, what I was talking about earlier. It's the psychology of decision fatigue. So too many choices creates inaction. So again, I go to the restaurant scenario. I'm coming into Philadelphia. There you are. You live in I live in Philadelphia. I don't, but let's say I live in Philadelphia. And you come in town. And I say, okay, hey, now you're in whole ass Pennsylvania. Well, you are. Whole ass Philadelphia. You see all these restaurants, bars, all these things. And I say, hey, well, where do you want to go? You're like, oh my God. Well, what are my options? I'm like, oh, you see down Market Street, you see those 12 restaurants? Where do you want to go? And you're like, I don't know. Because now you're like, what the hell? Now, if I say to you, hey, we're going to go down Market Street, you see those 50 restaurants? Do you want Italian or do you want Mexican? And so now you say, oh, I want Italian. Okay, so now I say, okay, there's 6 restaurants to choose from. This one over here has really good tiramisu, but this one over here has great drinks. So now I've also minimized those 10 down to 2. I'll be like, which one you better? Oh, I like tiramisu. Boom, that's the one we're going to. So the more that you're giving yourself all of these, like, I got to do this and I got to do that. And oh my God, well, do I start here? Do I not start here? This is what I want. That's what I want. I need to get this all done and I need to do, oh my God. How are you going to not have analysis paralysis? So you got to breathe. Breathe. Stop looking at this end zone and then looking at that end zone, thinking that you can do all these things at one time. And then you see all of the steps that need to happen and you're like, screw that. I am going to watch Netflix and I'm going to complain about the fact that I didn't get anything done. And tomorrow I'm going to feel just as stressed as I am today. Essentially, that's what happens. All right. Now, there is the erosion of self-trust. How are you going to trust yourself if you keep neglecting showing up for yourself? When you're waiting, that's going to undermine everything about yourself because you can't act until the conditions are perfect. So now you're like, well, I suck. I can't get anything started. Or damn it, I started it and I quote unquote failed at it. So I suck. I suck. How's that feeding your self-love first and foremost, your self-trust? Well, how can I trust that I make good decisions? Keep making them. Keep making decisions. Sitting here and going, I don't know if I'm going to make this right situation in the relationship and all of just make a move. It will 100% work out. It just may not work out the way you think it's going to work out. It may work out in the aspect of having a lesson. But if you're worried about the outcome and you're overthinking and you're trying to control the narrative, you won't do anything. And guess who's responsible for that? You. Not me, not the spouse. Again, no one cares if I meet my goals. Not one person. I mean, they might be like, oh, that's nice. Good for you. No one really cares I meet my goals. Nobody really cares if you meet your goals. So you keep waiting. And that's even worse if you're waiting for someone to be like, yes, what? Don't do that. Oh God, don't do that. That's a whole different thing. Again, missed opportunities, and it reinforces victim mentality over and over again. Because it's like the external loss of control. So it's like, I can't move forward till timing is right. I just can't do this. I can never do anything right. What the hell does that mean? So now you go, oh, I don't know. I never know what choice to make. Oh my God, this always happens. Do you hear that? Do you hear that rhetoric? That's a victim mindset. Now listen, that might be how you feel for a hot minute, but okay, lick your wounds. Let's go. Okay, cool. Feel your feelings. Let's not live there. But if you keep waiting for the perfect time and you keep waiting for the perfect scenario, you're going to stay in that trap. You will stay in that trap. I can't move forward till the timing is right. Based on what timing? There might never be a perfect opportunity for you to leave a relationship that isn't serving you. There might never be this perfect idea of leaving a job that you've been in for 25 years, but you're trying to retire at 35 years, but you're really like, oh my God, can I really do it? And that's cool if you can, but if you can't because it's difficult for you to process and move forward, then what are you going to do? So it falls back on you. How can you break free? Like I said, I'm going to have that podcast, but in CBT and cognitive behavioral therapy, you'll hear this from any CBT therapist. Small wins builds momentum. Small wins build momentum. This is how you're changing the mindset. Okay. Small wins build, momentum. Have you ever said, well, just get up and get dressed? Well, okay. Now you're more inclined to go for a walk. Well, you're not going to lay in bed and go, do I want to go for a walk? No, I want to go for a walk. Walking sucks. I go through this every morning if I'm going to the gym. It's always, there's a reason. So get your ass up and do it. And then that's going to build momentum, right? You don't need to feel ready to start. Starting makes you feel ready. Let me repeat that. You don't need to feel ready to start. Starting makes you feel ready. Glue that on your head somewhere. Save this. Repeat that over and over again. And you got to go from, I know you've heard this a million times, shift from perfection to progress. And failures are feedbacks. Failure are feedbacks. Failure are feedbacks. I don't need to be perfect. A, can't exist, so you're striving to something that's irrelevant. But progress. So maybe you do get up, you put on your clothes, and you're like, I just couldn't do it today. Okay, let's not live in that loop. Let's not do that for 6 months. But you got up and you did something. So tomorrow, you're going to have the momentum. Right? Imperfection creates authenticity and connection. Who the hell wants to be around someone who is, first of all, again, perfection's fake, but this person has no issues. They have that's it. They're just, yeah. You want to be around somebody like that? How would you fit in? It's not about fitting in. How would you fit into a conversation? What kind of a conversation could you have with this person? It's going to be really hard. So you're looking at something and it's just not real. So imperfection, you can say you're imperfectly perfect, I guess. But, it's one of those things that's going to breed authenticity. I know what my shortcomings are and I will happily walk into them and I'll tell you about them. Oh, yeah, it's my OCD. Not to use as an excuse, but that's why I did that dumb thing. So, yeah, it is what it is. Because that's me. I'm going to be that way. It is what it is. And, if this resonates with you, anything in this resonated with you, I have a free workbook. Yes, things finally dam up. A free workbook, 10 steps to letting go. And this will help you let go of some of this. And listen, it's 10 pages of a workbook. So this isn't the holy grail. It's just something to give you a good point of reference. It is free. There are options on there at the end if you want to go deeper. There are some options if you want to go further on a more personal level. Go to in the show notes here. You're going to go to my website. You're going to either get it on there or you're going to get on the mailing list and I will send it to you. The podcast is the podcast, but it's the same as the website, positivityexperiencewithanx.com. Go over there. It's going to be on the Patreon. If you're on the Patreon, it's going to be easy and accessible. It is free. Go do it. Go get it. This is what you need. But again, I'm going to tell you this. Don't go over there just because it's free. Get the workbook and stare at it. That's like I tell people on Patreon, don't just print out the worksheet and then stare at the worksheet. The worksheet's not going to do itself. So if you're ready to do it, you're ready to show up for yourself, you're going to have to be ready to go slow. Slow. That's right. Shit isn't going to happen in a day. It might not happen in a year. It might not happen in 2 years. What are you willing to commit to? But there's no magic solution. There's no magic pill that you're like, okay, I'll let go now. No, there's acceptance, radical freaking acceptance. And know this, it does not matter if you like it. It does not matter if you don't like it. It does not matter any of those things. Life's going to life with or without you. The question is, are you going to wait for the perfect time and sit on the sidelines? Or are you going to act not knowing if it's the perfect time and actually contribute to lifing? Check it out.